No, I'm trying a new microphone just to make sure there's no static, and I'm trying not to move that much so there's no static. But if you have any problems hearing me, feel free to comment below so I can know what I need to do. So I do appreciate that. So welcome to everybody. This is Kimberly Benjamin, your Purpose coach, as well as executive director of a nonprofit called A Purpose Transition, where we help people with discovering their purpose through career and entrepreneurship. And tonight is a little different because as I was preparing for tonight, one of the things that really came to my spirit is to make sure that I'm able to be here to share with you my story. And that's something that a lot of people ask me. They go, Kimberly, what's your story? How did you get started? How did you start your businesses? How did you manage all of that? You know, which business did you start first? How did you make this successful for you? How did you coordinate your time working a 9-to-5 job and then also starting businesses? So tonight, you guys, you're going to hear from me. I'm going to share with you my stories. I'm going to give you tips. I'm going to forewarn you right now, make sure that you have your pen and paper handy. Make sure you have your pen and paper out, because what you see right now on the screen is what you're going to see throughout today's session. So if you're that person, you want to take some really good notes, now's the time to step away and make sure that you get your notepad, get your pen, and make sure that you already have in your mind that you're going to have to watch this video again, and to stop the replay, and then to pause it, and to take notes, and to create your own game plan. So I'm going to give you a moment to do that too. You may want to go ahead and get you a glass of water, something that you can keep with you as well, because we're going to be in here tonight. I want to make sure that we have one more day left in our conference, but I want to make sure that we close this day off right now, answering your questions regarding business. How do you start your business? Things you've always wanted to ask me, but you didn't. I want to make sure that I'm able to answer those questions and give you tips. I have lots and lots of information to share. So you're in for a treat. I have a lot of information to go over with you. Make sure that you have your pen and paper handy, okay? So let's go ahead and dive right in. Remember, our topic today, oh, by the way, too, hold on one second. I do have my cell phone, because I know some people may be watching from our Facebook group. So let me go ahead and get that queued up as well. So if you are in our Facebook group, feel free to type your questions in there as well, so that I'm able to see it as well, okay? So type your questions in if you are in our Facebook group and our page too. Go ahead and get that queued up so I can see the questions. Perfect. So one of the things I want you to all know is important that you are very organized. One of the things that people ask me, Kimberly, how did you start your businesses? What recommendations or tips would you give me? And so I'm going to share with you a lot of tips, everybody. So be prepared to write. I'm telling you right now, be prepared. So one of the first things I want you to know, one of the things that I did was I identified some things that I needed to complete. You know, I started my businesses I have 3 companies. Be Blessed has been open for around 17 years now. HR Strategies has been open for around 15 years. Wait a minute, I'm going to go back and count, because the last company that I formed was our nonprofit, and that's the one that's for this event for 10 years. 10 years, and that's the third company that's the newest. So I have 2 other companies that have been in operation more than 10 years, one for 15, the other one probably for around 13 or 12 years. And I'm thankful to be able to say that I'm still in business. I'm thankful to be able to say that I'm still doing what I love. And that's one of the things that people often say to me. They go, Kimberly, you've been at this for a while and you didn't give up. And that's one of the things that they really appreciate, is that I was consistent and that I'm still doing what God has called me to do. Isn't that something? So it amazes me when I think about it as well, when I look back and go, wow, it's been 10 years here, 12 years here, 15 years there. I never would have thought as well, but hey, that's why I want to share with you my journey, how I started out, and some tips for you so that you were able to know how to start your business. So first of all, the question I would like to ask everybody that's watching is to type down below, do you have a business? Because some people may not have a business or a business idea, So I would like to know, who am I talking to? Do you have a business idea? Just say yes or no. Go ahead and type below if you do, so I know that I'm talking to the right people here in this room in our session. So we have people saying yes, they do have business ideas. So yes, I'm glad that I'm talking to the right people. You're in the right spot. So for me, I would say how I started in business, how I got started years ago was actually I got forced out of my job. Forced out. I was working for one of the automakers at the time, first time experience being downsized. I heard about some rumors that there was some downsizing and budget cuts and stuff, but I didn't pay attention to it because I thought that's not going to happen to me. Why should I prepare? Why should I listen to that? That's just regular memo, corporate talk stuff. And it impacted me, everybody. It impacted me so much that my supervisor came up to me and said, I want to meet with you. And I said, okay, when would you like to meet? She go, let's meet today at 4:45 p.m. And that was a Friday. So in my mind, on my mind, I'm thinking 4:45 on a Friday. We normally don't have meetings at 4:45 on a Friday, but my supervisor wants to meet with me. So let me go ahead and gather my things and get ready for this meeting with my boss. And so I said, well, where would you like to meet at 4:45 today? She said, in the conference room. And then I went, in my mind, conference room? We don't have meetings in the conference room at 4:45 on a Friday. Everybody type down writings on the wall. Say writings on the wall. Type that in. Type that down below. Writings on the wall. That was a writings on the wall moment where sometimes, and I'll call those writings on the wall when I speak and do seminars. And that means that, you know, things have been happening all around you, but you didn't realize, you wasn't paying attention to it. Right? You weren't paying attention to the clues or to the unction, as they say, the prompting of the Holy Spirit, letting you know that something's not right or something's happening, right? So I call those writings on the wall moments. And so we had the meeting, and then as soon as I walked in there, security walked in. And I'm thinking, still everybody, writings on the wall, but I'm not paying attention. I'm sitting there in my chair going, why is security in our meeting, in my meeting with my supervisor? Still didn't get it. And then my supervisor walked in and she proceeded to tell me that that was my last day. And that's where it kind of hit me. I went, oh my goodness, I'm losing my job. So for me, one of the reasons that allowed me to start my very first business, which is Be Blessed Career Consulting, is because it allowed me to start it when I lost my job. So I want to encourage you to let you know that some of you may have experienced being downsized. That could be a perfect opportunity for you to start doing what the Lord has called you to do, because some of us, we will stay and we will stay and we will stay with the Lord and we will not leave, right? Until we have to be forced out. So that's my story. So on that day when I lost my job at General Motors, I called my mother and I was on the cell phone and I had all my things in my box. I went back to my cubicle, packed my things up in the box, and called my mother out as I was walking throughout the headquarters. And I told my mother that I lost my job, and I was really ashamed to tell her that because she retired from General Motors. So she was really excited to know that her baby is working at the headquarters in HR at GM. So I spoke with her on the phone as I'm walking through that building, and I was just shocked that I had lost my job. Shocked, total shock. But everybody say, but God. Type in, wherever you are, type in, but God. Type in, but God. Because no matter what you go through in life, you know, the Lord has your back. He knew that was going to happen, right? And it's just a part of our journey. It's a part of our timeline, as Denise said, Denise Wanamaker, okay? It's a part of our experiences, like Jack Jones mentioned earlier. We need to understand those experiences in our journey, in our story, right? So long story short, I was glad that I lost my job because it allowed me to finally write that book and workbook that the Lord had placed in my heart to do. I was too busy to think about the businesses. I wasn't focused on the things that he told me to do because my time was really tied up into that employer. And when you're a person like me, you work overtime and extra time. All of my time and heart and dedication was devoted to that employer. And I know a lot of you are the same way. So for me, I was forced out. And through that experience, I wrote my book. I was able to write my workbook. I was able to form my business. I was able to start thinking about what are my products and services. I was able to start thinking about how can I have help, who can assist me. So it was a blessing. So fast forward, that happens to all of us. And so let's focus on giving you some tips for those of you that are working full time and you're trying to figure out, how do I start the business? Now, to fast forward my story, after I lost my job, I did find employment with another company, but I still kept my businesses. So even though I lost my job at General Motors, the next position I was able to have was with Ford Motor Company in HR. Even though it was a contract position, I stayed there longer in that contract position, and it allowed me to save money and to help fund and form my businesses. So I want to encourage you that if you're working full time, have a strategy in place where you can save your money, because you're going to need to be able to invest in your business and spend the money on your business. Okay. So by now you should all have your pen and paper out, because I'm going to give you some tips on what you should do so you're able to start your business while you're working at a regular 9-to-5 job. Okay. So the very first thing I want you to do, and excuse me, I'm going to rip this out for a second. So it may be loud. But the very first thing that I want you to be mindful of is that I want you to think about your office space. One of the things that I had to do early on was, okay, where in my home am I able to have my business and do my work and sit down and actually get work done? And early in my career, in my business, I was able to really network with some people. And at this time, I was working with a marketing company. I had a connection there, just, regular, conversations about marketing, advertising things. And their company was about to move to another location. And he came to me and said, "Are you a minority-owned business?" I said, "Yes, I am." He says, "Are you a woman-owned business?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he knew the answer already too, because we worked together. He go, "Well, we have some equipment that we don't need anymore, and I would like to donate it to you." And I remember getting a truck, and with my father and my sister, we went to that place. And as they were unpacking or moving to a new building, they left equipment and furniture in the room and in their building so that we can go in and get what we wanted. So we were able to get copiers and printers and desktops and fax machines and all kinds of supplies that we needed for our office. So your very first thing I would say is think about your office. Where are you going to work in your home? Okay, no need to go out and get a building when you're working not full time. Think about your office space. Do you have a chair? Do you have a desk? Is your chair ergonomically correct? Are you really standing and sitting in the right type of position so you're not injuring your neck or your back, etc.? Do you have a fax machine? Do you have a phone? Do you have a copier if you need that? So just start thinking about your space. And I tell you, in the beginning, it may just be a little corner somewhere, and that's okay. So if you only have a little corner to do it, if you may have an extra room to do it, whatever space you have, create your office space. And I tell you one thing, it feels so good when you have your own space, your own office space in your home, because you feel like you're starting your business. And then you may want to get a sign and blow it up and have your company name there or whatever you want to do, but just make that office space your own, okay? So if you're unable to get equipment donated to you, that's okay. Use what you have, okay? Use what you have. And again, if you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type your questions in the Q&A section so I'm able to answer your question. So definitely set up your office space, okay? And then another tip I would give you is to then look at creating your logos or business cards. Think about what you will need for your marketing material. While you're working a 9-to-5 job, that's a great time for you to not be so pressured about, you know, your money and things of that nature. So you have some time to be creative. So think about, you know, what's the name of your business? And then think about it, find out if that business name is reserved or is it available? Can you use it? Is that website domain name available? So when you type in www. and then your business name.com, what comes up on Google? So that's one of the things that I had to do, is to make sure that I had my business name reserved. Okay. And for those of you who want to know, where do you go to reserve your name for your website? Okay. We're not talking about reserving your name for the state. So for the website, there are different websites you can use. I use a company called NPSIS. I'm going to repeat that for you. NP as in Paul, SIS.com. That's the company that I use, that whenever I have an idea for a website, I go there and I reserve my domain name. I have maybe 30 domain names registered now. I used to have around 50, but every year when it's time to renew, I let some of them go. Okay, so first of all, see what's out there. Google your business name that you have, the idea that he's given you, that company name. See if someone else has it. And another place where you can go is go to your state website, where there's a corporations department, a department that helps businesses to be formed. Type in the business name that you want and see if it's available. Or if you want to be super sure, you can call in and talk to someone to see. But normally you can do it very quickly by just going to the website. So for here in Michigan, it's Department of Labor and Economic Growth, DLEG, they call it, DELEG. But just go to your state website, 'cause I know we have many people that are from different states watching us right now, and find out if that business name is available. Okay. Now, one thing I will say, make sure you do register your name with the state, not the county. That's a mistake a lot of people make. They think, okay, I'm going to save a couple of dollars, which is not that expensive anyways, to register your company name with the state. But people think, I'm going to just register it with the county. Now, when you do that, you're stating that you're only going to do business in the county. So make sure you do register your business name with the state. Okay. So that's something that I did. I went to our state website, saw that the business name was available, filled out the paperwork, paid the $75 or $25, whatever the fee is, and submitted it to that department. And then I made sure I went to the website. I went to that NPSIS website that I go to, and I reserved the name of the business so that if I have a website with the name of the business, I own it. I have it. No one else has it. So definitely do that early on, because there's no need for you wanting to have a business and working on it behind the scenes, and then you find out that the name's not available, or then you find out that the website domain, somebody else has it. Okay, we live in a day and age where people Google and they need to go to you need a website. Okay, so make sure that you do that. And also start thinking about your marketing material. You know, what are the colors you want? What's your logo going to look like? What's the reason for your logo? A lot of times logos have stories behind it. So what's your story behind your logo in the colors and the images? Take this time and take that time to really come up with the colors and things that you want. For me, I like to give details. Like, so for me, if I have an idea, I try to give some direction to my web developer, or I try to give some direction to my graphic designer, so they'll know my vision, what I had in mind. You can use that route of doing it, or you can just go to a graphic designer, go to a web developer, and have them create the website for you without your input. I recommend the first. It's important that you are a leader, that you know what you want your brand to look like, So your web developer and your graphic person, they're going to need your support. They're going to need it. And for those of you that may need help with what web developer do you recommend, what graphic designer do you recommend, type that down below and I'll be able to share with you the resources, the people that I do recommend. Because one of the things I'm very thankful for is our brand. Our brand is strong. Have awesome graphic designers and web developers, and I want to make sure that you know about them too, so that they can bless you and help you in your business. Yeah, thank you so much, Renita, for typing that down below. Let me know what you want, what you're interested in. Are you looking for a graphic designer, or if you're looking for a web developer? That way, when I go back through the thread, I know specifically what you're looking for. So this is a perfect time to start thinking about that. So you're able to give them direction, okay? You may need to give them direction versus have them create something, then you get it back and then you don't like it at all, okay? So that's a tip that I definitely would give to you. Another tip that I would give you is to think about your social media platforms. You may want to go out there and see, what are you going to do on Twitter? What profile will you have on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on LinkedIn, on Facebook? Think about your company name and what type of presence do you want to have on social media. You need to make sure that you're thinking about social media. Again, it's critical that you do have it. We live in a day and age where this is where we hang out, y'all, right? And you don't want somebody else to have your name. So think about what your name will be, and is it available on the social media platforms? And if it's not, what other name can you use that's still associated with your brand, so that people can still identify you with the business? So start thinking about what platforms you're going to be on. And I tell you, I'm constantly learning about the different platforms, and to give you some tips on that, because I said today is going to be really packed with content for you. So for LinkedIn, if you're a LinkedIn person, I know a lot of business professionals hang out there. One of the latest things that you're able to do now on LinkedIn is create videos and upload videos. Now, I remember way back in the day, they wouldn't allow you to have videos, right? It's totally different now. But the critical thing to know with that is you need to upload it, or have a link, I should say. So start thinking about YouTube. What platforms will you use to create videos or to house your videos so that you can still share it on social media? So you may want to have a YouTube channel where you can start creating and housing your videos there. Now with Facebook, this is a platform that we're on. Make sure you have a business page for your Facebook. It's important you do, because if you ever want to place ads on Facebook, you need to do it through your business page. You cannot place ads or things of that nature on your profile page. So it's important that you do create other pages on Facebook, but create one for your business, and then have things posted and ads placed through your business page on Facebook. For Instagram, what's hot right now, Instagram stories. So again, that goes back to videos. It goes back to images. And a lot of people are on Instagram. And if you're trying to reach a different market, reach more people, one of the things to do is to have videos on Instagram, sharing stories. Now you're able to go live on Instagram. So if you have a word, or if you have tips, or people want to hear from you, I mean, they're used to you speaking and they're used to your image, really leverage that with video. That's one of the things that's my goal for this year, is to be more in front of my clients and potential customer spaces with my face, with my image, via video on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So things are always changing, so make sure you do have a business account for your Instagram, for your social media platforms, okay? So make sure you look at that and you do have that set up. Another tip that I would give you too is, for those of you who want to write books or need to create training materials, etc., now is a perfect time to do it. Just like I shared with you, I wrote my first book and workbook after I had lost my job. For me, it was when I lost my job, and then I said, okay, let me go ahead and do this. And I spent a lot of time at my church on the property there, and at the library where I wrote the book. And I'm going to give you a nugget, everybody. So for those authors out there, people are saying, I need to, God has revealed to you to write a book or to have something like that. A mentor of mine said it's easy. Everybody say easy. Everybody type in easy. Type in easy. I'm waiting to hear from you. Easy. It's easy. It's simple to write a book. You know why? Because one of the tips I want to share with you now is all you need is a recorder. Now, some of you may say, well, you can sit there at the computer and you can type things up, right? But we live in this day and age now where there are software systems, there are digital recorders, just like this mic that I have right now. I also have a digital recorder that's small and compact that I can keep on my person. So when I speak and do seminars, I just hit the button and start my seminar, and then I hit the stop button at the end of it, and then I plug that digital recorder into my laptop, and I have a file for it, and then I forward that file to my virtual assistant or to someone that can transcribe it. Now, isn't that quick and easy? Yes. So, and that's just a starting place. So I'm not saying your whole book is going to just be transcribed from a video, from an audio file, but it's a great start. Imagine getting that information back, and then you have a foundation to start with. So again, if God is giving the idea to write a book, and you know you need to write a book and have some content, it's simple to do. And it can be as easy as just getting a digital recorder to get started that way. Or you can spend the time to write out and hang out in different places and devote daily or weekly time to completing that book. Okay, but you can do it. And that's how I was able to complete my book and workbook. And the reason why the workbook came about is because I'm really big with someone understanding what to do and then taking the steps to do it. So I wanted more than just a book where someone's reading the chapters. I wanted them to make sure they apply what they've learned. And for those of you, that may be an idea or a nugget for you. Have you considered a journal, a companion journal that goes with your book? Have you considered a calendar that goes with that book? Have you considered your workbook to go with the book? Have you considered reading the chapters yourself on Facebook? Facebook now has a way, instead of when you go live on Facebook, you can click another button and just make it an audio version of it, right? Right? And you click that and go audio version, you could read your book, read your chapter. And now you have an audio version of your book. And then there's ways that you can download it and get it on your laptop and do whatever you need to do with it, okay? So again, there's so many options. It's time for you to realize that you really can do it. It's not as hard as you think, everybody. You just need a good coach. You need somebody that can to share with you the secrets, the ins and outs. Another tip I would give you to let you know what you should do in order to start your business while you're having a 9-to-5 job. I did take some time to identify my work schedule. So be realistic. You know, you're working a regular 9-to-5 job. It could be whatever that schedule that you have to work. I would say pull out your pen and your notepad and come up with what is your work schedule. So if somebody wanted to contact you, or if you need to follow up with people, what's your work schedule Monday through Friday? Is it going to be prior to going to work and then after work, or your work schedule really will be on the weekend? But it's important that you identify that time, because it's going to help you to stay focused, and it will give you the structure that you need. So when you do have clients and meet with people and follow up and talk to them and schedule meetings with them, you already know what your work schedules are, your work hours are. So identify your work hour and your work schedule. Another thing that I would recommend for you that I've done is I had to identify some virtual assistants. When you're working a regular 9-to-5 job, it can be very hard to try to get everything done, right? So it's important that you recognize that you need help. Everybody say, I need help. Yeah, we need help. And so think about people that you can utilize that have skill sets that can assist you. And there are organizations too of virtual assistants that they're there virtually waiting for your project waiting for your okay so they can do work for you and complete work for you. And those virtual assistants can be located here locally in your state, or they can be located in other countries. So recognize you're going to need help. And since you are a leader in your organization, I would say it's important that you identify what can you release, what can you give them to do, because you're going to need to let them know what projects you need for them to complete. So tonight, I would say on your notepad, make a list of things that you feel comfortable releasing and giving to a virtual assistant. That's going to relieve your time and allow you to be a little bit less stressed trying to get everything done. And it feels really good when someone completes that project, completes that task, that project that you're working on, and you're able to move forward to the next thing. But I will say early on in my career, y'all, as a business owner, I have utilized virtual assistants. They helped me with transcribing my videos. A lot of you know that I love videos and DVDs. They transcribed my DVDs, my videos into books, into workbooks. They've done research for me on different markets. When I wanted to reach out to understand more about grants and fundings and foundations, whatever the topic is, they reached out and did the research. They also can schedule meetings for you while you're at work, so that when you get off work, you already have a schedule as to who you're going to be meeting with. They can be very helpful, very helpful. So virtual assistants, I would definitely recommend. Another thing that you'll have to do that's important to do to be organized is to think about how are you going to receive payment. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with PayPal, right? So PayPal is one resource, one way how you can receive money from your clients and from your customers. There are a lot of other platforms like Stripe, STRIPE, and other resources you also could use, but just make sure, or Square. A lot of you may be comfortable or have used Square. Yes, the kind where you can just type in the information on your phone, or the one that has the device with the phone and you can actually slide the card through. But whatever resource, whatever gadget you use, make sure that you do have it set up. Meaning you'll also need to have a bank account. So while you're working, it's a good opportunity for you to start checking out some banks too. Do some research and find out which bank is best for you, where you can open up and have your banking account, your checking account through that particular bank. So it's always good to get 3 quotes or to go to 3 resources. So I would say for you on your notepad, write down what 3 banks will you go to and to learn about their business banking account programs. And it's always good to start where you are now. So if you currently have a bank relationship with the bank right now, start there and find out their rates, etc. But don't stop there. Make sure you do get a couple of more resources to do some research so that you can make the best decision for your business. I know for me, initially I started out with Charter One Bank here in Michigan. And then I also have an account with Comerica Bank as well. So be mindful, of the banks you can use. Check out their systems, check out their fees, check out their minimum requirements of how much money you need to keep in the account. But the first thing I would say is go to where you currently have that banking relationship, okay? And who knows, you may receive favor there. They already know you, and it may be easier, and that may be the best answer for you. I just don't want you to assume that's the place for you to stay. Do your research. You may find a better bank with lower rates and all that kind of stuff after you do your research. So make sure you do open up a business banking account, okay? Another thing that you should do while you're working full-time is, I would say, don't share with people that you have a company or that you're working on it. One thing that my father always said to me, he said, baby, everybody don't need to know that you have these businesses. And I would brush it off and go, oh, daddy, why is he worried? Why? It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, right? So what do you think, everybody? Is it a big deal? Type your answer. Do you think it's a big deal? Will you let people know that you are starting a business, that you have companies? Do you think it's a big deal? Type your answer and just whatever you think. Do you think it's a big deal? Yes or no? Is it a big deal? But I brush it off and I would say, oh, that's not a big deal. But it can be. Even though they don't recognize that this is new for you, they don't recognize that, this is brand new and you're trying to figure this thing out. They don't recognize that. Yeah. And what do we have here? I'm going to see what someone just typed here below. Oh man, it went away. Never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. That's so true. That is really good advice. And that's one thing that I brushed off when my father said it. But I realize now that even though, I wasn't making millions and all that kind of stuff, just the thought of your employer or a coworker knowing that your life means so much more than that job, so much more than that employer, that can do things to people. That could do things to people. So be mindful as to what you share and who you share your company with. Okay, be mindful of it. That's a big lessons learned that I received later on, because I was hard-headed. I didn't take heed of my father's advice. I recognize now that everybody doesn't need to know all that stuff. They don't need to know it. They don't need to know all the stuff that you're working on. They don't need to understand the vision that God has for you. They don't need to know all that. Yes, it is true. Sometimes you can lose friends over that. Yeah. Actually, that has happened to me. I don't know if it was straight because of the business, but yeah. So keep it under wraps and keep working on that God idea. Keep working on that business that he's given you, but you don't have to share it with everybody. A tip that I would also give you is when you do receive customers or have customers and clients, a couple of them, like in the beginning, early on, you may provide a service or give them a product for free. Now, the only reason why I say that is because in order for you to work out the tweaks, in order for you to get testimonials and quotes that you can put on your marketing material, put in your videos, put it on your website, you may need people to read your book and then give and talk about how their testimony of how they felt, how that book helped them, etc. You may want to what do you call it? I'm saying bargain, but that's not it. Barter. You may barter services early with a couple of companies. Now, don't do that with everybody, because your business needs to make money. And what you do is valuable. And that's one of the things that people struggle with. They don't understand their value in their business, and they don't understand the value of, their skill set. So early on, when you start your business, don't always have things for free. You have to do your research and find out what your rate should be. And believe me, that's one topic a lot of people struggle with. Kim, how do I know? And I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm lean in right quick, tell you a secret. We all don't know either. It's trial and error. It's trial and error. You can do your research and find out what's that rate that you may want to charge. But it's really about knowing your target market. Your target market may not be comfortable with the $65 price point. Your target market may be used to a $95 or $200 price point. So I submit to you, do your research, find out what your competitors are doing, people that are similar to what you're doing, find out what their price point is, schedule a meeting with them, purchase their services or programs. They don't need to know that you have a business similar to theirs. You can either tell them and be upfront and go in as an interview and interview them, or you can be a client and utilize their service as well. That will allow you the opportunity to find out what are they about, so you'll know how you're different. Because believe me, that customer that you want, they're going to be like, well, how come you charge this and down the road, or that person over there charges that? It's going to be really important that you're able to say why you're different, why you're unique, why they should purchase from you versus the other company down the street. So do your research. But I just want to encourage you that, one of the cool things about being a CEO, you can change things. You can as you learn different things, you can change. We grow. We make mistakes. We learn from it. we pick ourselves back up and we try new different strategies, new different things. So don't be so stuck on having to have the perfect answer for the perfect price or something. Don't be too stuck on it. Do your research. Don't get me wrong. Have conversations with other people that are doing what you're doing. Find out what the industry average is in that, but don't be too stuck on that rate or that price because it may change. And with that, you may want to come in a little lower or higher than what the average is for the industry based off of your strategy. So again, and speaking of that, I work with I work with 2 different coaches. And one of the reasons why I recommend for you to have a coach is because I know that it's important that you have help. I have coaches. So I don't have all the answers. I'm always learning new things. And one of the things that I have learned is that sometimes if your price point is too high, then you only have a few people that may purchase. But when your price point is lower, you could open up the possibility for more people to come in and purchase, right? So be mindful of your pricing strategy. But I'll tell you one thing as a business owner, pricing isn't everything. Marketing is important. Having the amount of time to properly market something. Having relationships. Everybody say relationships. Relationships are important. Who are the people in your network that you can go to and barter or see if they can provide services for you, or see if they have people that you can go in and get in front of to talk about your company. So those are important too. So think about who are the people, the companies that you should partner with, who are the people that you feel comfortable utilizing their services. Start thinking about who can you work with, which companies you can work with. Now, well, here's one story, y'all. When I first started out, I had a magnet. Sometimes you'll see people have a magnet on their car. You remember it's like a big sheet, and you can just pop it on your car. And I had on there, I advertised my resume writing services. I was like, you need a resume? Call, and I had my number on there. I just saw that in my notes. So I want you to know that there's different ways that you can market your business. You can market your business by using business cards. And it doesn't have to be just a regular business card. On this board back here, you see it says, do you know your life purpose? That's actually a business card. It's a business card that I can just keep out or give to people. And then there's information on the back side. I have another card similar to what you see that says, do you need a resume? Do you need a new resume? And then my contact information, et cetera, is on the back side of it. Nowadays, people have cards that now have text such and such for whatever. So text messaging is really hot right now. So think of how can you market your business. But early on, y'all, I use those magnets. I had a big old magnet on one side of the car and then a big old magnet on the other side of the car. And I try to have it match the color of my car. I had a gray car at the time. But I tell you, it's amazing, though, when you're driving your own vehicle and you stop at a light and you see people trying to take a picture of it, or you see people trying to flag you down. Oh, my goodness, I forgot all about that. So use ways to market your business, okay? Use all the ways to market your business. Now, one thing I would say to you will need is a phone line. So it's important that you do have a phone line, a phone number for your business as well. Yeah. So have a phone number. I've used a company called Ring Central, which is RING and then Central, CENTRAL. But I used them and they helped. I use them. I have 2 toll-free numbers that I have for my businesses. And then those toll-free numbers are also fax numbers. So if somebody was to fax something, it would come to my laptop as a PDF document. So I didn't need to really utilize a fax machine because my number was also a fax number. Now, I did have a fax machine in my home office, and I did utilize it when I needed to. So those of you may need a fax machine too, but check out resources that you can get the fax and the phone number in the same package. Okay, so that's a resource you may want to check out. There are other resources. There's another one called eVoice. which is EVOICE, EVOICE, eVoice. So those are two different resources that can help you with having a phone line for your business, a toll-free number for your business, and that number turning into a fax machine or fax for your business as well. So is this information helpful? Have you been finding that today's training, today's session has been helpful for you? And again, if you have a specific question, feel free to type your question in the Q&A section so I'm able to answer it. Believe me, as I was preparing tonight for the session, you know, I'm like, I want to do something different. And I know sometimes I get into teaching mode and just teach. But a lot of times people don't know my story. They don't know the things that I did that were successful, areas where I've messed up, you know, and we rarely have the time for the Q&A. So if you have a question, feel free to type it in. I really do welcome that here on our platform as well as in our Facebook group too. So if you have a question, make sure that you submit your question. But we still have more to give you here, and I am looking at the clock too, so we're doing great on time. A couple of other things that you should be mindful of for you to be able to start your business while having your job. Now, we're going to get into some tips now, okay? Some strategies and some tips for you. Make sure that you do use a system that helps you to schedule your meetings, schedule your phone calls. You really don't need to use a virtual assistant anymore, a person to pick up a phone and to schedule your meetings. There's so many systems now that are out there that you can use that are computerized, that will allow people to just click some buttons, find out when you're available, and you click some buttons and then it comes to you, and then you're able to confirm that phone call, you're able to confirm that meeting. A couple of systems that I will recommend or say now that you may want to be mindful of. Oh my goodness, I had lost that one. There it is. Thank you, Lord. One resource is called Calendly, C-A-L-E-N-D-Y. C-A-L-E-N-D-Y. That's one platform you may want to check out. I signed up for, haven't used it yet, but I do have an account. And then Avida, A-V, I think it's E-V-I-D-A or A-V-I-D-A. I have that on my current website for my HR consulting company, but I didn't renew my membership with it. But again, those are just two examples, but there are a lot more out there. And some of you may even know of some. Do any of you know of an online system that you can use to help coordinate your meetings and your phone calls? If you do, type that down below. You can share that resource too. But there are many resources out there. I just want you to know that it's simple now, everybody, we have somebody schedule a meeting with you, and you don't need an account, you don't need a virtual assistant to coordinate that. It can be all handled electronically now, just by you having an account that may cost you $10 a month to do it, or free to do it. Okay, so those are just two resources to help you, but I would recommend that you do set that up. Set that up so that when you're working, if people need to contact you, you're able to have your meeting scheduled when you get off work. And then you know who you're talking to or who you're meeting with. And they even have it now too, where people, if you charge a fee for them to pay before they meet with you, that's already built in. They would have to make that payment if that's what you identify and select, and then you can confirm it. So again, use the technology to help you with your business. Another tip I would give you is to join like-minded groups. Join groups with like-minded people, I should say. When you have the mindset of being an entrepreneur and starting a business, you really are different from someone who's just working and don't have the passion to start a business. It's important that you hang around people who are similar to you in that aspect. You're able to get ideas to help each other, to share best practices, to learn a lot. And who knows, you may even have a partner or someone that's working alongside with you in your business. So be mindful of that as well. Use your resources and make sure that you are mindful as to who you're hanging around with, because not everybody's going to understand or get why you are trying to start a business. Why would you want to do that when you have this great job with benefits and with this company? Why would you want to jeopardize that? That's what people may say. But if God has really given you that idea and you know that you really want to start that business, step out and do it. Don't listen to what other people are saying, because you can do it, especially now. This day and age that we're in now, people are starting businesses and people are very successful, even with online businesses. Long time ago, you needed to have a building. You needed to, have all this equipment, right? You need people to be able to walk through the door to purchase things. People had to go to your store and actually give you money, not online payment, online banking. No. We live in a day and age where you can set all that stuff up online. So you can do it, and it really is possible. I'll give you a couple more tips before we go that I really want to make sure that you understand. While you're working your job, think of systems you want to have in place. So you may need to think about your handbook. You may want to think about forms and contracts and waivers and things that you may need for your business. Take that time to really understand what you might need for yours, and then create what you need for yours. My background is human resources, so I really do believe in the importance of having structure and having policies, having procedures in place. If you really want to grow your business, it's important that you have procedures, you have steps. So when you train somebody on how to do something, people know exactly what they need to do. When you want to bring somebody on board or hire somebody, eventually they know what's expected of them. So look at what forms you may need, handbooks, policies you may need, procedures you may need, documents you may need, contracts you may need. Start thinking about those now, finding those now, creating those now, so that you can set your company up for success. And one way to do that is to make sure that you have a strong foundation in place up front. One thing I always say when I teach to business owners talking about franchises, one of the reasons why people like franchises, like Subways and other companies that people can easily purchase, right? Franchises. The reason why those are so successful is because people buy the process. You're buying a process. Someone has the whole process mapped out that has been proven to be successful. That all the person will need to do is go through and understand that process. And so when customers come in, no matter what state they're in, no matter what country they're in, all Subways are the same. All McDonald's are the same, right? The food tastes the same, etc. So if people recognize that with franchises, that it's really important that you have strong processes, then we should have that in our companies as well. And who knows, maybe that business that you're forming can turn into be a franchise, where you have that in different states, you have it in different countries, right? I know some of you are saying like, wow, yeah, that really can happen. But it's important you have processes created and draft already for it, okay? So again, think big. You really can do this. Think big, think big, think big. So those are some of the things I really wanted to share with you regarding what I did to start a business. Again, I just knew that I've always wanted to be in business. When I was a young girl, I wanted to have my own business. I actually would have people come in the backyard and I would braid their hair and put beads in it and charge money. And my mother would say, Kim, you got to stop doing that. I would hang signs on the poles in the neighborhood saying, come get your hair braided. I forget how much I charge. But I had them up on the poles and on the telephone poles. And I remember posting one, and then a cop came up to me and said, you can't do that, baby. You can't do that. So I had to remove the sign. But, it started early in my career. It started early in my life. And that goes back to what we just saw earlier in the presentation with Jack Jones. It's important that you pay attention to your child's purpose, to their actions, their passions. What do they do well? What do they want to do? And that you support them, because it's not going anywhere. As much as we try to sidetrack it or not support it, that person still has that passion. Just like how I still have the passion for business at an early age. And my mother would say, Kim, stop. And I would make money. And then I remember in elementary school, I'm just going to share my story, everybody. Everybody say, share your story. Everybody type in, share your story, Kim. I'm going to share my story. And in elementary school, I created magazines. Yes, I did. I am not making this up. I created magazines. I would actually cut out pictures of old magazines, other magazines, and images and stuff. And I created my own magazine. And I would tape and glue the articles in my magazine. And the magazine was called The Look. And it was like a fashion magazine. It had tips in there. And I remember seeing The Look on the newsstand years ago. And I went, oh, that was my magazine from a long time ago. Somebody actually created it. But it was called The Look. And it had articles in there. And I wrote some things in there. And I cut and paste different pictures and stuff. And I sold it literally. I remember the price, 25 cents. 25 cents. And Renita says here that she wrote stories for TV. Oh, wow. Don't ignore that, everybody. Don't ignore those early passions, those early desires, those skills. Don't you ignore it. God's going to allow you to use it. You may not have it all figured out, how it all works together, but he's going to allow you to be able to use it. Yeah, so be encouraged, everybody. That idea that you have, you really can start that business. I would say your very first step, to give you a high level couple of things you should do after today. If you have that business, first of all, know that you're supposed to have it. If you have that idea, it's yours. And then I would say after that, write down what the Lord gives you to do with it. So have a journal, write down your products, write down your services, write down the price point, write down the colors, write down who could help you. Get a little book. Just get a book. Actually, I'm going to do this right now. Some people do a wall chart, or, like the vision boards. Some people do that for their business. And some people just get a book, a notebook. And this is their business book. And everything in here pertains to that company, that business idea. And you can sit there and just flip the pages and cover other things, write on other ideas you have. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, everybody, but it's important that you do get started. Okay? And then once you have your book and those ideas come to you, write them down. Capture it. You have to keep the vision in front of you. If you don't write it down, the vision will not be in front of you. It will not be plain, and you won't be able to run with it. So make sure you write down the vision, the ideas, and know that you may not implement everything at that time. But just imagine, though, having a tool that has all the information in there. So when that time is right to do part A or part 67 or part Z, you already have it in your book. Yeah, I like that. So make sure you have a book for your business. And then another tip I would give you, excuse me. I'm trying to think what it was for me when I first started. And I've been in this for a minute. So I'm going to say when I first started, I would say, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Not everybody is going to get you. Not everybody's going to support you. But believe in yourself. Because I tell you this, that idea that God's given you, that idea, that business idea, that company is not going to go away. You can act like you're ignoring it. You can act like you really don't want a business and work full time and put in 68 hours a week and act like you're happy at that job. and get off work and feel unfulfilled because you know you're more than what your employer is or what you're doing for your employer. You know it. It's not going to go away. It will never go away. So the best thing you can do is to recognize that it's yours, that it's meant for you, and every day work towards it. Work towards it. And keep it in writing. Jot down your plan. Jot down your plan. And be mindful who you share your business with, your business idea with. Not everybody's prepared or ready for it. All right. Before we go, are there any questions? I saw a couple of questions come through here on the chat. Are there any questions? We have someone who says this. And again, write your questions down in Q&A or the chat. It doesn't matter. I'm just here to be able to be here for you. During these times, do you think that writing procedures and process manuals is still needed, product or business for product or business owners? Also, okay, I'll answer that one first. So is it still important to have processes and process manuals created? Yes, it is. I think a lot of times people don't do it because they don't understand it themselves. So I recognize you may have to work it through first, work out some of the tweaks, jot down what you are doing. But your time is so valuable that once you do finally get it figured out, you need to document it so that you don't waste your time doing that in the future. And your team won't waste their time doing it. And it's going to help you to think bigger and to go for bigger contracts and bigger clients because you have processes in place that are working. So it is important. People don't do it. It doesn't matter what size your company is. Don't let that be something that deters you. Again, we're going to live and learn along the way. But once you do recognize and kind of tweak what you're doing and say, wait a minute, I really need to do this step first or second, make the adjustments. That's the cool thing about being an employer. That's the cool thing about being a CEO. You can you can change things, right? You can improve things. So have fun improving. But a lot of times people, they're overwhelmed with it. They think, oh, that's processes and procedures and handbooks. Oh, that's for big companies, right? I think that's the underlying issue. Oh, that's for big companies. So what you're saying, your company's not big? You're saying that that idea that God has given you is not big? You're saying that your company is small? Remember to have faith, y'all. And we can always focus on what we see. Because there's a whole lot more than what we see. All right. So let's go ahead and see here. The other second part of the question was also organizing office space and purchasing things. Yes, be mindful of your budget. It is important that you do organize your office space because you need to have a place to do your work. That's when you really feel like you have a company, you have a business, and you need a place to do your work. So definitely, no matter what size company you are, and especially in the beginning, dedicate some time, dedicate some space to your office. So definitely with that, you should do that. And then the last portion of that question was in purchasing things. Yes, I shared that story with you because you may not have to purchase. I mean, I was shocked when the gentleman had recommended and wanted to give me equipment. I didn't ask for the equipment. I didn't ask for it. So also believe God that the things that you want, you may not always have to pay for. There may be people in your network, people in your family, people that you know that are watching you. They know what you're doing, and then they want to bless you. They may say, hey, we want to donate some money to help fund your business. Hey, we have this fax machine over here that we really don't use. Do you need it for your business? Hey, I have this chair, this old chair and this desk that I really don't need. I'm going to put it in the garage sale, but do you need it? So check your faith regarding that as well. And Renita's saying that was given to her too, printers and things. So yes, so no matter what size your company is, you don't have to purchase everything. Let God move in it. Let him surprise you. Let him shock you. Let him bring people to you. and blessings to you. Because that idea that you have is not a surprise to him. He's the one who planted that in your spirit. So, and what do they say? What the Lord gives, he provides for. So let him provide for you. Let him provide for you. All right, look like we're winding down here. I really want to just encourage you to stick with your business, everybody. Make sure you do check to make sure that that domain name is available. Make sure that you do check with your state to make sure that that business name is available. And start and get your plan, get your book, get your notebook, your business plan book, or your business book, or your business idea book, or your business journal, whatever you want to call it. Pull that out, write down all those ideas. You can have one page can be dedicated for marketing. The next page can be dedicated for my team. The next page could be dedicated towards social media, right? Create your own plan this year and really start that business, because you can do it. So this is Kimberly Benjamin, your purpose coach. I'm excited that you all are here. We've been having an awesome time at our conference. We have one more day to go, everybody. Tomorrow is our last day of our conference, and we'll kick it off tomorrow at 10 o'clock, sharing resources and next steps. Everybody say next steps. Next steps. Thank you, Renita. Renita, I appreciate you too. Next steps. So 10 o'clock, we're going to go over the things that we've been learning. One thing I would like for you to think about, out of all the sessions you've attended, I want you tonight to write down what has stuck with you. What are some of the things that you've learned from each of the sessions? Or how are you coming along with those homework assignments that have been given to you or suggested at the end of each session? But I want you to reflect. I want you to reflect on all the sessions and to jot down, what did you learn? What was that key learning moment, or the aha moment, or the idea, or that assignment you got from after attending that session, right? Because tomorrow is our last day. We're going to get into sharing with you our next steps. What do we do with all of the stuff that we've learned? What are some resources that are available for each and every one of you to help support you after the conference? You know me, I think more than just a day, and I think more than just a week. So what are some resources that you may need? And we're going to share with you resources and tools that we're going to make available to you should you need it and want it and want to purchase it to help you going forward. Also, we're going to get into, as I share with you, I'll be communicating with each and every one of you regarding your purpose GPS, as well, and your assignments regarding your career. I haven't forgotten about that. I know we're moving along with the conference now, but we will be getting together, and I'll be sending you some emails regarding resources and help for you regarding your career. And for those of you who completed the Purpose GPS, thank you so much. And for those of you who completed their homework, thank you so much. I'll be working with individually each of you by the end of our week here. So it may end up being Sunday, Monday after the conference, but you'll look for the email with next steps and extra resources that I'm going to give you based off of your homework answers, as well as your Purpose GPS report. Okay, you're going to get that in an email. And then we're going to close our conference off with Minister Michelle Ferguson. She's going to talk about how to live your life on purpose and have a more fulfilling life, what we need to do to have a more fulfilling life. And then Pastor Andre Butler, he's going to close it off with change in the new year for this year. And I reached out to both of our presenters. They're excited on their Facebook pages. They're posting stuff. They're really looking forward to pouring into us tomorrow. And I do want to ask you to think of questions for them. That I will ask. If you can come up with 2 questions you would like to ask Minister Michelle Ferguson regarding living your life on purpose and having a more meaningful life, or whatever you want to ask, go ahead and submit to me tonight the 2 questions you want to ask her so I can have it queued up at the end of her session. And then for Pastor Andre Butler, Think of 2 questions for him. What would you want to ask him regarding change or just in general? What questions you would like to ask, okay? And email that to me, okay? But you all have a wonderful evening. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So this is Kimberly Benjamin, your purpose coach, reminding you all that today is a great day to start living your life on purpose in your business. See you later, everybody, and good night.